Hi, I'm Daisy and today is Divergent reviewing day. It is also book description time. She turns to the future in a world that's falling apart. For 16-year-old Tris, the world changes in a heartbeat when she's forced to make a terrible choice. Turning her back on her family, Tris ventures out alone, determined to find out where she truly belongs. Shocked by the brutality of her new life, Tris can trust no one, and yet she is drawn to a boy who seems to both threaten and protect her. The hardest choices may yet lie ahead. A debut novel that will leave you breathless. Divergent is book one in the trilogy written by Veronica Roth. Now, we only have Divergent and Insurgent out at the moment, and then the unnamed third novel is to come out this year, but it obviously hasn't been named yet, so I can't guess. There's a few guesses going around as to what it might be called, but it's obviously on the verge of something at the end going unt. So Insurgent, Divergent, we're on the following of unt. The book takes place in a dystopian Chicago in the future. It's basically a more dilapidated and more wrecked up and rusticy kind of Chicago. Not the Chicago we're thinking of. There are 5 different factions within the Chicago-y land. So they're all sort of separated into, they're almost like acts of something, but some of them can be kind of related to emotions at the same time. Once someone in the dystopian world turns 16, they can decide to stay in their own faction that they're living at the moment, or they can transfer to any of the other 4 factions. So we are following the story as Tris decides on the choosing day what she wants to do with her life, and then we follow on from that and discover her story and what she gets up to. The 5 different factions consist of Abnegation, which is the selfless, Erudite, I think that's right, which is the intelligent, Dauntless, which is the brave, Amity, which is the peaceful, and Candor, which is the honest. So basically they can't tell any fibs. If you decide to join another faction and can't complete that initiation, you then become factionless, which means you don't belong to society at all. So it's kind of relative to, in our world, the homeless, which is sucky, and you don't want to be factionless, basically. I hope that book description has kind of pulled you in and you're more interested in reading the book. Now, if you do pick up a copy and decide to read it, it would be wonderful to hear your feedback on it. I love discussing books with anyone. Let's discuss spoilers now. So we know Tris is called Beatrice originally, but it wasn't until actually she says to someone, "What do you think Tris is short for?" that I went, oh, that's why she chose that name. I don't know why. I went through several chapters just thinking, Tris is a cool name, but where did she get that from? Dauntless just made the book brilliant, because there's so much crazy stuff and you're just reading the book thinking, okay, seriously, you want them to jump onto a roof out of a moving train? Are you serious? When she decides to jump off the roof for the first time, I was literally thinking for a second, I was like, I bet they have no net underneath and they're just yeah, you're going to fall onto cement, and then that will teach you to be a bit less fearless. Then we get to meet Four for the first time, which at first he kind of seems a bit... I say that because my first impression of him, I was thinking, you're being a bit rude. Who the hell are you? At this point I did not know he was meant to be the love interest, who then becomes you kind of smitten with. You cannot be smitten with a fictional character, some people say. They lie. Four, I am smitten with. The initiation that Dauntless make you go through literally just boggled my mind. It seemed absolutely crazy at first that you were having to beat up the people that you were having to sleep with in the same room, because you're not going to really have that much likability if you just punch someone in the face. Obviously at this point we have been more introduced to the characters, so yes, I liked Christina and I liked Will. Didn't really like Al that much. Drew, Molly, Peter. I want to punch them in the face so badly. Eric, oh, I really don't like Eric either. Eric he just looks like, in my head, he just feels so slimy and horrible and evil little cretin, and then he gets shot in the foot, and I was so delighted at the shot in the foot. Can you tell my hair is slightly detouseling throughout this video? That is how the rage detousles my hair. Oh, this Peter, he's absolutely psychotic. He is psychotic enough to throw his toys from the pram when he doesn't come first, to which point he will quite happily stab someone in the eye. Now, I have a really bad Problem with eyes. I don't like anything to do with eyes. If there's a program that there's an eye and they're being sliced into or something has to be removed from it, I freak out. When there's a descriptive thing writing about eyes and my imagination imagines it, I get very creeped out. Then he throws his toy from the pram the second time and kidnaps Tris essentially, blindfolds her, ropes in Al, is totally inappropriate. Then Drew gets beat on, up by 4, because 4 comes across it. Why did he not just put Peter in the hospital? Peter deserved it more. If you haven't guessed already, I'm kind of a bit ragey against Peter. I really don't like his character. This is the point also that I really started liking 4. Before then, when he'd left the room, when Tris was getting beat up, I was kind of like, I think it might be because he kind of likes her. And then he's shouting at her and saying, you don't understand, you're not even paying attention. Then you're kind of like, yeah, Tris is just being dumb at this point. She doesn't quite realise. But she does come from a place where anything that is affectionate, bad. So of course she's not going to notice. I don't know about anyone else, but I kind of cottoned on that he was Marcus's son beforehand. I was kind of thinking, okay, her mum's from Dauntless, so it's not like unheard of that possibly that 4 was from somewhere else. There's also absolute craziness in the hanging over the chasm, getting knives thrown at your head, then going up on the Ferris wheel, and oh my god, why are these things acceptable? Along with the fear simulations, just why? Why do we have to go through all of our fears? Why can't we find a different way to do this? Because the fears, I would be lifts and spiders and wasps and dogs and eyes. I would just be panicking. I would not be able to go through it. And if 4 was stuck in a lift and I was with him, I would not be able to help him through it. I would be sitting there and panicking as well. I don't really like Janine either. Her storyline through this, I was just really annoyed because you'd think, well, the intelligent people, at least you'd think they're intelligent enough to not start war, but no, clearly not. They're not intelligent enough. She's far too intelligent that she's just power hungry, and then is basically turning everyone into robots, which then happens to kill Triss's mother and then kill Triss's father, gets Tobias all having to get a gun to Triss's head, which is not normal. That's not normal in a relationship to have someone put a gun to your head. No. Will get shot by Triss, and then I'm kind of thinking, well, what holds the future for Christina as well now? Is she just going to go a bit at Triss, which is natural because you just shot her boyfriend. He was kind of under a serum that he was going to kill you anyway, so what do you kind of do in a friendship like that? So this book is all kinds of insanity, but the good kind of insanity, the insanity that kind of makes you want to read it within like days, because you're just otherwise you're just thinking, well, I've left them. I did actually have to put the book down at one point when Christina was over the chasm, and I felt so guilty. In my timeline, she's just stuck on the chasm more than 5 minutes. I feel so sorry, so I had to go back to the book. It was a drawing in book, and there was so much frustration and so much happiness for Tobias and Triss. But at the same time, I just don't like Eric and Marcus and Peter. Why can't we just fling them out of the train? I am now 5 chapters into Insurgent as well, so probably within the next few days, maybe at the weekend, you'll probably have me then discussing, hopefully, their demise at some point. I hope in that book, I hope in Insurgent at some point they get shot in the foot again or something. They just need payback. If you want to discuss the book, then please feel free to comment at the bottom or subscribe for future videos. I will definitely be probably ranting on about Insurgent or doing all the feeliness of if anything happens. So I shall hopefully see you guys soon, and I hope you're okay.